Hi, I'm Pete. I'm an IT manager. Today I want to talk about...
Pete, heads up. We've been hacked.
What happened?
My password is my birthday. Well, everyone knows that. February 14th.
Why would everyone...
I don't get how these people figure this stuff out.
I think I do. Have you ever updated it?
Yes. I changed it to Valentine's Day.
Okay, we're protected with Connection Security Services.
You just gotta be more careful, Pete.
Okay, yep.
For hardware, software, support, and empathy. For Pete's sake, connect with Connection.
New hot and iced Sunrise Batch Coffee from Dunkin'. A bright and balanced, full-bodied blend brewed so you can get summering from sunrise to sunset. And even after that, because that's when you can show off those string lights you hung in the backyard. Or rehung. Enjoy a medium, hotter iced Sunrise Batch Coffee for $2. America runs on Dunkin'. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Exclusions apply.
Hello, Secret to Success podcast listeners. Thank you for joining us for another episode. This episode, we have Mr. Jay Malik with us. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I cannot complain. So, Mr. Jay Malik, if you can please tell our audience who you are and what it is that you do.
Definitely. So, my name is Jay Malik. I'm an author, business mentor, I'm a spiritual teacher. I founded the International School of Alignment, where I teach people about the spirit of success. And that's the main thing I try to incorporate with my students.
Okay. So the International School of Alignment, can you tell our audience more about that?
So this was created about a year ago, and what we do at School of Alignment is really break down the mental barriers people have when it comes to their success. A lot of people don't know that their traumas, their pains, all those things that we normalize can be reconfigured in the mind to imagine a new reality. And so we just really work on, again, this spirit of success and creating this new paradigm so you can tap into that greatness that's locked in a lot of people today.
So what is your inspiration for starting the School of Alignment, the International School of Alignment?
My biggest inspiration was probably my own journey, I would say. I went through my own, super dark, period of depression, suicide ideation, all of these different things. And I think going through that path of darkness and transforming my own mental process, I was like, if I can change my mind from that place to a place of inspiration and forward progress, then anyone can. And I was seeing a lot of people who needed help. I was like, okay, let's just create something that helps people move from a spiritual standpoint. I come from a business background, but even in the business world, most entrepreneurs get bottlenecked when it comes to the spiritual cleansing that needs to happen, the mental cleansing that needs to happen. And so the spiritual success is all about renewing that energy so you can become that version of yourself that you envision. And you don't necessarily see the roadblocks because they're not physical roadblocks, they're spiritual roadblocks. And so getting over those is a major accomplishment that helps people push forward.
Thank you. There's something that you just spoke on when you said, even with business, how important is it to be aligned spiritually, mentally? How important is that to the success of business?
1,000%. It is the most underestimated component to business success. There's not one successful business owner. I mean, you can look at the levels, like a 6-figure business owner, a 7-figure business owner, an 8-figure business owner, or a 9-figure business owner, and you look at the levels of their thinking. It all starts from an alignment standpoint, even if they don't think they're that spiritual. Like Warren Buffett, I don't know Warren Buffett's background spiritually, but there's something in his business practice that's aligned that makes him see the end goal and tap into it and make it happen. Right? He looked at the same stats and the same stocks as everyone else is, but something about him made him more successful. And when you're aligned spiritually, it allows you to tap into that creative space, that imagination that this is not a part of my reality right now, but I can go bring it to me. And it motivates you, it inspires you actually, and allows you to really make it happen. And so you need that. And a lot of business owners want to make it, they want to hustle, and they don't have the alignment factor. And so they're just like doing a lot of work, but they're not going anywhere. And that's tough.
Wow. Yeah, working with Antonio, I've learned a lot, and the biggest thing that I've learned with working with him is you attract your customers. So if you're out of alignment, if you attract who you are as customers. So if you're the type of person, if you're rude, you're going to have rude customers. If you are, if you struggle with things, you're going to have customers that struggle, and the list goes on. So what, for our audience, because our audience members are a mix of business owners, employees who are looking to shift from being the employee to the business owner, or those who just want to raise an awareness or raise where they currently are in whatever job position that they're in. So can you let our audience know, when it comes to aligning yourself, where should they begin?
I would say two spaces. The easiest one to kind of fix or adjust is what is the red flag in your life right now? Because everyone has something that's like, I can't afford to take that to the next level with me. So maybe some business owners don't have their books handled, right? And maybe it's okay for a 5-figure business owner to do that, but a 7-figure business owner with the books not handled is going to be a bigger liability. So there are some things that are stopping people from progressing, not because they can't progress, but because they don't address the elephant in the room, right? And everyone knows, like, maybe a business owner is trying to be, successful, but they have bad credit. Like, how can you run successful financial operation if your personal finances are in disarray? So it's a lot of different things like that, like very, very clear, very evident, right? And that's like the easiest fix, because as you do that, you'll gain more confidence and momentum. The second one isn't as quick of a fix because it takes a little bit more introspection, but you have to be very, very clear on the value you're providing the marketplace. And a lot of times business owners just want to sell things and not realizing someone has to buy into the idea or buy into the product and buy into the end result that they're getting. So what is the value? And that value, same way you said that you attract the customers that are most like you. If you're a person who's, hesitant to spend money, it's going to come off in your marketing. It's going to come off in your sales presentations. It's going to come off in your branding. But if you're certain of your value and you've done the introspection work, the value within yourself, and you're putting that value into your product or service, and that allows you to speak the language of success. Because I'm offering you whatever it is, even if it's just a restaurant, you're offering them a successful meal, a successful night out with the family. Whatever it is, you know what the value of that successful outcome looks like, and you can sell it because you believe in it. You have to be sold on yourself. You have to be sold on the value you're providing, and that opens up everything. And the deeper you go, I feel like the deeper you go. It's like a rabbit hole of never-ending, infinite potential as a business owner. It's just, how can I increase the value now? It's all about service. If I can just serve more, But if you're a business owner who doesn't address the elephants in the room and you're not clear on the value you provide, you're looking to take because you're not serving, because you're not even serving yourself. You're not even doing the things for yourself that matter to move you forward. So it's kind of abstract, but there's very clear things to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. So when it comes to the business, and you're saying, you have to address the elephant in the room. When it comes to the business owner, and they say, okay, I've addressed the elephant in the room, where should they go from there?
So let's say the elephant in the room was, let's say it's a six-figure entrepreneur, and the elephant in the room is time management, right? And they realize that they have to, like, whatever the elephant in the room is, it's going to open up a door for something. So I'll use like a six-figure entrepreneur, for example. Okay, I'm doing this, but when I really look at things, my time isn't being used efficiently. And the next step after addressing what's clear is, what is my sacrifice? What do I have to give up to get past the next barrier? So it may be you're a six-figure entrepreneur. Maybe you worked a job and you were making $3,000, $4,000 a month, but now you got your own thing. But now you have to go pay somebody to do something to free up some more time for you. But you don't want to give up that extra $2,000, $3,000 a month because that's eating into your profit margin. So now the issue is, how can I create more revenue? How can I expand? And it's a new challenge to think differently about the business and how can you scale, produce more value, but you have to give something up. Or maybe you have to give up, maybe you're not optimizing all of your time efficiently, and you need to give up watching Netflix for 2 hours a day every day. That's 14 hours a week you could be putting to business, right? Like, it's right. But you have to give up something. You have to give up, and that's the it all comes down to sacrifice. I have to give up something. It's going to be time, money, or energy. Maybe it's people. Maybe it's environments. Maybe you go to too many networking events and you're not working on your business. You're just a busybody. Like, there's a lot of different things that happen, but that's the next thing is sacrifice. Like, sacrifice is the next door to the next level of success. Like, everyone, before they move forward with something, they give something up. Everyone. And the more you want, the more you have to give up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are taking notes, because the last golden nugget that Jay Malik just dropped, a true entrepreneur understands what you just said. And
so true.
If you are not ready to sacrifice, you are not ready to have a business, you're not ready to be an entrepreneur. So what would you recommend to someone who they're looking to start a business, but they don't know, they don't know just yet, like what that sacrifice is, or they don't know what the elephant in the room is just yet, but they do know that they've hit a wall, and they don't know, like they're sitting there, they're looking at the wall, and they're like, okay, I see this wall, but I don't know what this wall is. What what could you recommend for them?
This is going to sound crazy, but it's going to sound like almost ridiculous. But it's going down to the basics. It's going down to the basics to the elephant sometimes is like sleep. Are you getting enough sleep every day? I guarantee somebody who's running into that many brick walls, are you getting enough sleep? Are you waking up feeling rejuvenated? And then what are you doing with the 16 hours you have? Like, everyone gets 16 hours every single day. There's no way you can run into that many walls unless you're just totally idle. So, like, do you keep a calendar of what you're doing? Do you have your goals written down in a way to say, okay, what is my 12-month goal for this business. I'm going to start this new business. I have a 12-month goal to be at this point. Break that down to 4 different quarterly goals, and then break that down to monthly goals, and to weekly goals, and to daily goals, and figure out what you need to be doing every day to make that goal happen. I think a lot of times people get caught up in the big picture of like starting a business, but you have to know your daily operations. The same way somebody goes to work, they know what you're going to be doing at work that day. They're not going to be guessing like, oh, you come in today at 9, and then whatever you do, you leave at 5. You have a job description for a reason, because the CEO knows if I have Joe Blow and Adam Smith over here doing this daily, it's going to help me reach my weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly goals. So you have to identify for yourself, what is my operations? What am I doing? Am I just playing business, or am I actually doing the operations of a business to get me the success I want?
That last thing I think we pass over a lot. I think we believe that we are doing business when we're actually playing business, and we don't. And when it gets too hard, we're like, oh, I can't do this. This is too much. No, you didn't. You were playing business and you weren't being business. So for one who is playing business, actually want to do the business but does not know how to be business, what advice would you give them?
Simplify. A lot of times people want to start a business and it's way too complicated. It's outside of their league, because the very initial start to any business is I'm just a vendor. I'm a merchant in the street selling a product or a service. You have to look at what is the most simple form of your business. I was talking to a woman last week, and her dream goal is to start like a family grocery store, right? She's really good at cooking. She wants to have her own, products and all these different things. And it sounds great, but that's complicated. Like at the very base level in the startup world, they call it the MVP, or minimal viable product. Like, what is the lowest form, lowest cost, lowest tech addition that you can bring to market to capture value? So we shrunk it down to meal prep. That's a very simple thing that you can start selling. You don't need anything else. If you can do your business with the phone and that's it, you're good to go. If you can call someone and say, hey, you need some meal prep? And they say, yeah, you can make a sale. Then you can automate that system and that process. But if you don't know if your business is so complicated that you can't run it with one person, because you're a one-person business essentially, and when you first starting out, you're a solopreneur, you're a salesperson. That's your first job, is sales. I think a lot of times we can complicate it. We can add in, I want my website to look like this, and I want my logo to be like this. Like, you got to make sales. You need revenue to drive this thing, because remember, and you get to that 6-figure point, you need to hire someone else. You're going to be hiring people anyway, contracting out things you can't do yourself. But the main objective is revenue. I need to get revenue in this business so it can breathe and it can have room to hire out so I can grow and expand. And so I think simplifying and focusing on revenue activities. If it doesn't generate revenue and you're just starting out, it's probably not important. Like, not probably, it's not important. Like, your new website is not important, because you're going to have to spend money to get people on the website, or time. You don't have time to do that. You have time to get a sale. You need time to make a transaction. So I would say simplify, focus on sales, and make sure probably 85 to 90% of the activity needs to be generating some kind of profit. Like, that's everything else will happen after there's money in the business. But that's how you know you got a business, when there's money. If there's no money generating, again, you have a very expensive hobby. And I've been there in that place. Like, I'm doing things, it looks cool. I'm posting on Instagram, I'm posting on Facebook, I got a new logo, but if that's not bringing no money in, and it's not bringing in money, I'm not really providing value to the marketplace. because everybody votes with their dollars. And I can like something all day. That don't mean I valued it. I just mean post is cool. So we got to get into, I'm in the business of providing value through a solution, and when it's valuable, people will give me money for it. And then I need to expand that operation. But simplifying is key.
Simplifying is key, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure you're taking notes. I know when I first started my business, there was like this elaborate thought process that went into it, and my business system was all wrong. I was a commission-based company dealing with, in the music industry, the worst possible business system to have in that industry.
The music business is one of the worst business models of all time. I don't like it.
Oh, thank goodness for Antonio. Thank goodness for Antonio, because I would have still been in a very, very expensive hobby and not and not a business. Yep. And I'm so happy you said that, because I think we mistake the things that we enjoy doing for something that we can start a business in. It was like the example you were saying about the woman who wanted to start the restaurant, but she could cook. And one of the things that I've learned is, while your skill is one thing, it does not necessarily mean that you have the skill for the other. Mm-hmm. So I could love basket weaving, and I can weave a basket all day, the best baskets in the world. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I can run an actual business. Right. So
that's key. That's key. That's key.
Right. So for those who are so passionate about what it is that they do, what advice would you give them if they're like, man, or they have the family members that are like, man, you're good at that, you should start a business, not really knowing everything that's going to go into it, not understanding the sacrifices that's going to take place. I love photography. I love photography. But when it came to turning it into a business, I was like, I don't want to do that. No, I love it. It's an outlet, but it's not something that I would want to do as a business. And I've done weddings, I've done birthdays, I've done headshots, I've done photo shoots, and it's just something about the business aspect of it that shifts my passion for it.
Yep.
So, what advice would you give someone?
I've been there.
So what advice would you give someone who's in that position? Like they have this passion, but it's just not something that they want to do as a business. But they have everyone around them say, "Man, you should do it as a business. You should do this." Like, what advice do you have for them?
So passion is very, very. It's an interesting thing, because we want to live for passion. I would say passion is something you do for yourself, but purpose is what you do for others. And business is really about, maybe it's not your personal purpose, but every business has to have a purpose. So a business doesn't need a passion, right? Like everyone who works at Apple is not passionate about technology, but the purpose of the business is providing a technological solution for people who want the products. And so if you're passionate about something, like say photography, for instance, maybe photography, the business of photography is not what you want to do, right? But there are so many different avenues. If somebody wanted to stay in that, like, I'm really passionate about photography, maybe you should teach it, or maybe you should create an online course about photography, get a little passive income. Like, there are so many different things that you can do to not work. Like, I'm really big on leveraged income. I mean, I'm an author, so I look at every single book created as it's an additional stream of income. So maybe you create something, some intellectual property surrounding your passion, because you're passionate about it. You can talk about it all day. You can do a course probably on the end of the day. You maybe write a book on it in 3 months and put that book on your own website or on Amazon, and you can promote that and make some passive income. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to do that, you have to just compartmentalize your passion as a passion and realize that business is about other people. It's not about what we really want to do. It's about, am I providing value to the marketplace? That's the only purpose of the business. It's not to serve our own, dreams of being a boss, or I'm doing it my way, I'm passionate about my business. Like, that's great if you can do that. You can put that together, passion and purpose. That's amazing. But it doesn't always work like that. And sometimes you will learn to get passionate about what you're good at. Like, no one's passionate about something they don't feel like they're good at. So if you're not good at business, at first you're not going to be passionate about it. But if you learn the game, if it's really meant for you, because it's not meant for everyone. Everyone can't. Like I say, it's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of, stress, a lot of thinking at a different level. And it's not for everyone to go down that path. And you can help someone else. Maybe you're better being a number 2 person or a number 3 person or a number 4 person or an idea person, but you're not necessarily the CEO. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I think you have to figure out, you have to know who you are. That's where that spiritual thing comes from. You have to know who you are. Am I meant to play this game? And
right.
Am I looking for passion and an outlet, or am I looking to serve? And you have to have that serve mentality if you want to really succeed, because at some point it's always all about the customer, but at some point you can't scale if you're not thinking about service. You're going to bottleneck yourself, and passion is probably the easiest way to bottleneck a business, because it's not really logical. You can't explain what makes passion just passion, but purpose is the way through. You can turn your passion to purpose for other people, then you got a business.
All right. Like I said, you turn your passion into purpose for other people, then you have a business. That's that was the first thing that Antonio had to drill in me when he started coaching me and mentoring me, was, serving others. Mm-hmm. Life is about serving others. From your business, like you said, if your purpose, you have to have a purpose when you have a business. But if you're not serving anyone, you have no business. You can't. Right. Your bank account will be empty because you're not serving anyone.
Yep. People are voting with that dollar.
Right. Well, what I had to also learn is when it came, because you have those who say, well, I'm a natural server, my spiritual gift is servitude. But one of the things that I have realized is there's a different type of service. You have selfish servitude and selfless servitude. So when it comes to business, when it comes to your alignment, your personal, spiritual, emotional, mental alignment, how important is it to understand the difference between selfish servitude and selfless servitude?
That's a crazy. So define those two for me. Like, how would you define those?
Okay, and this is from my own personal understanding of it. So there's there's two types of selfishness. You have the selfishness in taking care of oneself so you can serve others, and then you have the selfishness of me at the detriment of others. So when I'm saying selfish servitude, I'm referring to the servitude that I'm serving the way I feel you should be served, versus the selfless servitude of I've listened to you, I've paid attention to you, so I'm going to serve you how you want to be served. So, prime example, I can't come to you and say, okay, look, this is how I'm going to serve you, versus, hey, how can I serve you? So that's my understanding of selfish servitude versus selfless servitude.
It's crazy. I think you need a little bit of both. I think you need to be selfless in the sense of I'm willing to do what needs to be done to serve you. But you also have to be selfish. It's weird saying that, but you have to be a little bit selfish in the sense of you have complete confidence in the container your business is in. Right? Like if I go to Chick-fil-A and ask for a leg and a thigh, they're gonna be like, "We don't do that. That's not what we do here. We got the best chicken sandwich in the market, right?"
Yeah.
But
the best.
So it's like being very, very confident in the container and knowing that the way I put this thing together selflessly, and now selfishly I have to do it this way, like. Because some people are very service-oriented. Like I'm a very service-oriented person. And for a long time, I wasn't charging in direct correlation with the value I was giving because I thought I was I thought I was servicing people, but I was actually hurting them because I wasn't requiring them to make the jump they needed to make to actually get the full benefit of the service. And sometimes you have to balance that as an entrepreneur. Like, okay, when I need to stick to my guns and be not stubborn, but I need to just be very, very confident in what I'm providing. You know, there's an era of freedom that comes from not caring. You know, it's weird. Like I say, you have to care. You have to have a deep sense of servitude. But it's also you have to almost have a blank slate when it comes to, like, how much does the opinion weigh on you from other people, right? Because that's the only thing that can help you kind of rise is not really, like, I always use the example when I talk to, like, people I'm coaching or mentoring. Like, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. He's a little bit crazy to believe that he's going to go to Mars, but he's so crazy people start believing him. People believe that Elon's going to get to Mars one day, right? How do you become a trillionaire? You're Jeff Bezos. He had to do something. You look at his old interviews. There's a lot of people who were skeptical of what he was doing at the time. Like, you have to be a little bit okay with being unconventional or untraditional and doing things your way, but service just has to be in your heart. So you have to have that selfless center, and then the core has to be, this is how I'm going to do it.
Hi, I'm Pete. I'm an IT manager / superhero.
Pete, bad news.
What happened?
I put a very expensive latte on top of my car, drove off, and it spilled. It's bad.
How's that my problem?
Oh, my laptop was up there too.
Okay. That's why we use connection services to manage our cloud. Everything's backed up. I can access your stuff remotely. You won't miss a meeting.
I really wanted that latte, Pete.
For hardware, software, support, and empathy. For Pete's sake, connect with Connection.
You adjust and adapt, of course, to the market and things like that, but at the core, you have to know, this is how I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to provide value. I'm going to keep my ear to the streets in a sense. Like, I'm going to know what the market is saying. I'm going to get the feedback. I'm going to pivot this product, or maybe they really need this. And some of that comes with the initial market research of just knowing what is the real problem. But sometimes the market doesn't know what they need. Henry Ford has a quote that said, if he had done market research, they would have wanted faster horses, not a car, right? So sometimes innovation requires that, okay, I hear what y'all saying, but you don't see the problem how I see the problem. So you don't understand the solution I'm trying to bring. And then it's your job, if you want to take that route, it's your job to be a master marketer and a master salesperson to convey the idea of that solution in a way they can believe in it. So Elon Musk saying he's going to Mars, maybe people didn't believe him at first, but he keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. It's like, wow, you know what? Elon might be right. He might go to Mars one day. I believe he's going to get there. And I don't think he's coming back when he gets there either. I think he's going to stay there. Right? So I think it's that confidence in knowing when you have that breakthrough innovation or you have that innovative solution to provide the marketplace that this is how I'm going to do it. They don't see it yet. Steve Jobs, all these people who have these iconic visions, everybody's vision is not based on, having a vision that large, but sometimes it is, and sometimes we can hold ourselves back sometimes if we think we have to go down a certain path to get the success.
Right. Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. So when it comes to the International School of Alignment, when does one know that they're in need of a spiritual, mental, emotional alignment? When does one know, okay, look, something's off, I don't know what it is, but I need help? What does that look like for someone?
I mean, I would say we always need it. I think it's a recurring process. When something's off, it's been off for a long time. It's just now showing up. Which is why I say a lot of business owners get stuck. No, seriously, like when I say like the business owners get stuck because the elephant in the room, you're not stuck because you don't understand marketing. You're stuck because your brain is thinking about all the stuff that you're not handling. And by the time we get to that point and it starts showing up in our life in the physical world, that means it's manifested. It took its time. It was trying to not manifest into the physical. It was in the non-physical world for so long. And it's like, all right, well, they wanted these problems. Here we are. Right? And so by that time, you're already kind of behind the eight ball. I think I look at it as more of an aggressive approach. Like I want to be proactively pushing my own boundaries. Like I want to proactively get into something uncomfortable to make sure there's a transformation happening, because you're going to get uncomfortable at some point anyway. Either you're going to be comfortable for too long and you think everything is good and then something happens. Stuff don't just happen. You weren't on offense. You were chilling for too long, and then life finally called up to you chilling, and then something uncomfortable happened. Now, something always happened to me. It was going good, and then this happened to me. It's like, no, it was going to happen. You just didn't make it happen. So if you're in a good situation, you got to start looking like, wait a minute, am I getting comfortable? Am I resting on my laurels? Am I hanging my hat on yesterday's success? Because today's a new day.
Wow.
What am I doing to push my boundaries for today so I can become a new person? And then at that point, you start not getting ahead of life, but you start pushing so far that you're prepared for things way before it happens. You're 90 days in front. You're 12 months in front. Your vision to see into the future and look at problems and solutions are going to accelerate because you were pushing the boundaries instead of letting life push you. So I think we always need that alignment process, because we don't want to align for who we are right now. You want to align to who you're becoming. And I think sometimes we just end up, people fall out of who they are in a negative compassion instead of a negative component instead of a positive component. Like, I want to change who I am, not because something bad happened, but because something good happened. Like, if you were a six-figure entrepreneur, would you rather change because you're a five-figure entrepreneur now, or you want to change because you're a seven-figure entrepreneur? Either way, you're giving something up. Either way, you're sacrificing something. You're going to sacrifice the comfort you have as a six-figure entrepreneur, and you're going to fall back to a five-figure entrepreneur, and you're going to change comfort for stress, or you're going to change comfort for stress by doing new things that are uncomfortable to you, and then now you're seven figures. So you still have to sacrifice. You still are uncomfortable either way. You're going to be uncomfortable. There's no point we get in life where we're like, oh, well, everything's good. I can just stop right here. That doesn't happen. And I think people are waiting for that imaginary checkpoint of life saying, everything is good now. Like, a great Buddhist teaching is to be human is to suffer. Right? We're coping with the physical reality because we're spiritual beings. We don't want to be trapped by physical bodies, but we're here. And so we're here to experience life in the most highest frequency we can. And so we have to keep pushing because life is always coming back on us, no matter where we are. That's why people are multimillionaires. They get depressed because they're trying to figure out, what does this thing do? I got it all. Why doesn't this life thing make sense? Because they stopped working on the calibration. They thought it was all good now, and it doesn't get good. And life starts hitting you. You start realizing that everything you've done is not the purpose of life. The purpose of life is, how do you unlock the potential within you? How do you become all that you're meant to become? And how do you serve? And how do you stay balanced in the process? Because if you think about it, this is what God has to do every day. I have to keep this world together. This whole entire universe, things that we cannot see, things that we cannot fathom. I have to keep all this together and find some kind of meaning in it, which is why we're here in the first place. We're all just direct extensions of God here, living out a physical experience because God didn't want to be bored. Just infinite, doing nothing forever. We're here trying to experience something new. And we all have different perspectives. We can always learn. There's so much in this world to be enhanced by, whether it's just another person or whether it's nature, whether it's animals, whether it's learning something new, whether it's finding a new hobby. There's always something that gives us a new experience. And I think when we stop having new experiences, especially when we get comfortable, it caves in on us faster, even when there wasn't success. Because if there's not success, you're like, okay, well, life sucks. So you think life is good, and you start getting those anxious feelings, you start getting that depression, you start getting that, you trying to figure out, why do I did all this hard work to get here, and I don't feel good. What's happening? No, you got to keep recalibrating. You have to keep aligning. You have to keep moving forward because you're not done. We're still alive because we're not done. So there's always a need. It's a constant thing. And I think when you're on the offensive and you're on the, proactive spiritual growth, life happens a little bit more gracefully. Things come to you more fluidly, and you experience them in a different way. I think that's all we're trying to do is shape our experiences to pull out who we're really becoming.
Thank you. There was something that you said. It was right. I just had it. Maybe that means it wasn't for me to. Oh, you said the checkpoint. How we're all waiting for this checkpoint to say that we have mastered it all, and I'm paraphrasing what you said. Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that 100% because I didn't realize that I was doing that until you said that. I was like, oh, okay, got it. Brought to my awareness, understood. And I think that's what we miss. I think we miss that it's a consistent. I think we miss that it's a lifestyle and not a seasonal.
You just said something
I think
there.
that's what we miss.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, I was reading a John Maxwell book. I'm trying to remember which one it was, and he was like, yeah, I realized that this was a lifestyle change, and when he said that, it made so much more sense to me because we go on these journeys of self-awareness, self-alignment, growing within ourselves, and then we become these quote-unquote woke being, but we stop. Not understanding that it's not just a seasonal thing, it's a lifetime journey. And if you are not disciplined enough to stay on the journey, you will always catch yourself waiting for the next gun to sound off to start the next race.
Yep.
Whew. So when you said that, I was like, oh, Deanna, you're waiting for the gun to go off for the next race. And it reminded me, right, it's alignment with the lifestyle. Yes, we are not the only beings walking this planet. So we cannot live in alignment on a seasonal basis. There's always going to be, Antonio tells us that when you come across people who are not in alignment, they lean on you, and when they do that, they knock you out of alignment. It's just like when someone's walking next to you and they lose their footing and they fall into you, you're going to lose your footing. So when it comes to the lifestyle of always being in alignment, always being on a path of personal development, you have to understand that there's going to be someone that's going to come across your path. And this is when that selfless servitude and that selfish servitude comes into place. It's like if you are truly living the lifestyle of personal progression and growth, you're going to understand that that person is out of alignment, and it is your duty, your job, to help that person, or either you can say, oh, that's not my business, and keep walking.
Right.
But it all comes down to the lifestyle. Are you really living the lifestyle, or are you going to judge someone else for not even understanding that they're nowhere near the beginning of the process of the healing that they need to become, the being that they truly need to become? So it really goes into when you got to stop waiting for the gun to go off to start the next race and just keep running.
And you got to realize there's somebody behind you, not necessarily trying to beat you, but there's somebody looking for you to be a light for where they are.
Right.
Like somebody, and sometimes you have to be, if you've ever been, something but a good like visual component, but when there's a light, like a lighthouse or a boat, if the light was right up on them, like the light on the boat is not helping them as much as the lighthouse is, saying this is where the shore is, right? Like we all have a little flashlight on your phone, but if there was you've seen city lights a couple miles out, you're gonna know that's where the city is. The flashlight on your phone is not showing you where the city is. It can only show you as far as your own perspective. And we need people to be representations of where we can go. We should all be trying to inspire the next person. That's where the lifestyle comes in. The lifestyle makes you the light. If you're not if you like going to the gym one time a month, ain't nobody looking at you for a fitness journey because they're like, okay, they don't ever go to the gym. But if you're working out, man, they did this. I'm learning new workouts. I ain't never worked out. I see them on Facebook doing some workouts. And same thing in business, same thing in spirituality, same thing in relationships, same thing in everything. We're just trying to be lights. We're trying to be a signpost, a lighthouse for someone who's maybe they're way further away than we think they are. Like there's people who contact me sometimes and just tell me I've been following you for 6 months and I was dealing with this. I'm like, I had no idea you were following me. You know, like we didn't have any conversation, but you've just been watching, or you've been reading, or you've been listening, and because the light was there, you were able to move forward, and that's why we have to do it. Because you have to remember I remember where I was. I remember being in the basement of depression and needing a light. And once you find that, you understand the value of growth. It's not what you get out of it, it's the process. Like that, and that becomes, like I said, the lifestyle. I want to keep doing it. I want to do it again. And then you realize that your potential is so infinite. That means I can keep going. That is the reward. Not the result isn't the reward, the process is. And if you can fall in love with the process of growth, everything works out. Everything works out.
I believe that's where a lot of people struggle. They struggle with the process because the process is longer than what they assumed it would be. Like when you were saying earlier, I believe you said, yeah, boy. I believe you said, it was Buddha who said that, and I'm paraphrasing, life.
But to be human.
So there's going to be suffering, and that aligns with what Antonio, the last couple of months in his teachings, he's been saying, you can't be a light in the sun. ooh.
That one, that part.
You know, and you shine, the darker it is, the brighter you shine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a lot of chaos around you, that means that you are shining so bright, and that, like you say, you're somebody's guide. There's somebody watching you saying, man, this is where I need to go. And then eventually, when as they follow you, they'll build up the courage to reach out and say thank you, or, man, I'm grateful because of you. I was able to get through this. But just the greatest leaders, it is. It really is. And we praise our greatest leaders when they're gone because we didn't pay attention to their process while they were here. And once that light is gone, we realize just how dark it really was.
Wow.
And that's been like I think for the selfish servers, I think that's the hardest thing for them to understand. Is like there's a process that you have to go through. You're going to go through pain. You're going to sacrifice. You're going to do this. You're going to do that because you are a light. And in order for someone to see your light, you have to be in the darkness. They can't see you if the sun is shining bright and it's 70 degrees outside with not a cloud in the sky. They can't see you then, but they can. But they can see you when it's pitch black in the middle of nowhere. There's no moonlight. There's no starlight. And you're the only light that they see. They can see you then. But you have to, right now. Like you have to desire that servitude. And I think that's when it comes to when we're truly in alignment and we're paying attention to what Source is telling us, or paying attention to that feeling deep in our gut and not the one that's in our head, because there's the one in the heart. To me, that one that's deeply rooted in the gut that makes your heart ache, that's Source. But the voice in your head, you gotta watch out for that one. That was a tricky one.
That was how to play you.
Really, because those conversations will drive a person crazy. But when you are aligned, you understand that when your gut and when that gut feeling reaches your heart, it's like, okay, this is what I need to do. Like when someone randomly just pops into your heart. Like I tell people, I'll text someone, I'm like, hey, you crossed my heart, versus you crossed my mind. Because if you cross my heart, that means you're going through something. If you cross my mind, that just means you were a thought. But if you cross my heart, the Source is telling me that person needs you to reach out. You know, so when you are truly in alignment, when you are truly mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally aligned, like you said, you open up all the possibilities of who you could become and what you can become. You can become that light in that darkness, and the darkness won't bother you so much because you understand, like you were saying earlier, your purpose. So it just is. I thank you for what you're doing, because we don't pay attention to that part. We just think you wake up, you go to work, you go to school, you pray, you go to church, and you just continue the routine, but we don't understand that there's so much more to it. And if we actually pay attention and listen, we'll realize that we're so much more, and each person has a purpose. Everybody has a purpose. You're not just a random hiccup that was put here. You literally have a purpose. So I thank you for what you're doing, because once we align ourselves and we understand that there's so much more and things are bigger, maybe, just maybe, we have the possibility as beings to be one and actually have peace within ourselves and within others, and we'll treat each other a lot better.
The world would change.
It really would. It really would.
The world would change.
So, Mr. Jay Malik. Oh, I'm sorry. So, Mr. Jay Malik, what if there is one thing that you could leave our audience with? What would it be?
One thing, I would say, belief, faith, knowing this, but it's just understanding there's an infinite potential. Like, everything is possible. And you have to really, honestly believe it. Honestly, truly accept it. Sometimes you have to turn your brain off to where you're not thinking about it, but just believe, no matter what it is, whatever the circumstance is, the scenario, if there's a problem, there's a solution created for it. Nothing in the universe is created without polarity, without balance. So if there's a problem, there is a solution. There's a hurt, there is a triumph. If there's an obstacle, there is a way to overcome it. So it's just, no matter what it is, just believe in the positive momentum and just start moving there, and things will change. Things always change. It's the only constant in the universe is change. So just believe in the positive change and dedicate yourself to it, and anything is possible.
All right. And Mr. Jay Malik, how can our audience find you?
You can find me. I'm usually on Facebook. Facebook name is J.Malik at Jay Malik Coaching on Instagram and Facebook. And you can also go to my website, www.jmalikteachings.com. That's teachings with an S. So JMALIKTEACHINGS.com.
Awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, we will definitely put that in the show notes. If you did not catch that, we will definitely have it in the show notes. Mr. Jay Malik, thank you so very much for joining us today. I really hope that our audience was taking notes and will understand the importance of being in alignment, how to fix your business, but just overall lifestyle health. So thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any final words? Oh, you're so very welcome. You're so very welcome. Do you have any final words for our audience? I'll let you close us out today.
Like I said, just keep believing. No matter where I've been through depression, I've been through addiction, I've been through a lot of different things. And when you make that change, you commit to it, just know it's a long-term process. But when you get there, you become the light for someone else, and you understand the bigger picture of why you're going through what you're going through, and you will be the light for someone else who's going to be going through a similar situation to you, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. So just keep going, keep pushing, keep prospering.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Secret to Success podcast.